Welcome to the InfoWars Nightly News. I'm your host, Jakari Jackson. It is February 24th, 2016, and here's a look at our top stories.
Tonight, CNN, the Clinton news network, bans Trump supporter Roger Stone. Stone accuses CNN of bowing to pressure from Hillary Clinton. And a mainstream media reporter gets a personal lesson in privacy vulnerabilities as his computer is hacked while writing a story on the FBI's demands to have back doors into our devices. Then, the killing fields of Cambodia are still killing decades later. 4 to 6 million mines remain in the small country which has one of the highest amputee rates in the world, even though only 25% of victims survive.
Here I come to save the day. That means that Mighty Mouse is on.
Humans turn to rats to ferret out unexploded ordnance. All that and more on tonight's InfoWars Nightly News.
Clean, pure drinking water. You can't survive without it. But where do you get it? Alexa Pure Pro is a brand new, groundbreaking, gravity-fed water filtration system that is like no other. The Alexa Pure Pro transforms water from virtually any fresh source into clean, healthy drinking water, pairing the unprecedented superfiltration power of an all-new gravity block core with a hybrid chromatic shell. It removes up to 99.999% of impurities, including bacteria, viruses, fluoride, disinfectants, volatile organic contaminants, and hormones. Filter capacity up to 5,000 gallons. Stainless steel construction, easy assembly, low maintenance. Replacement filters are simple to install. And now, as part of an exclusive limited time introductory offer, you can save $20 off the retail price and get free shipping. This is a limited time offer, so order your unit today and receive free shipping and $20 off. Go to InfoWarsStore.com or call 888-253-3139.
Once again, Richard Reeves with Infowars.com, where Donald J. Trump has just had a tremendous victory here in Las Vegas, Nevada, with over 40% of the caucus goers voting for Donald J. Trump. Huge victory. And we have Gary here, an InfoWarrior, and I really like that shirt. Look at this shirt for Gary. Gary, tell us, what are you thinking about tonight's victory?
Oh, I think it's a wonderful thing. I also just kind of want to get something out to the InfoWarriors out there. InfoWars is the most powerful alternative information source out there. The truth is out there, but it's not good enough to be awake on the couch. It's just like Michael said, if you want it, you gotta go get it. If you truly believe in the Constitution that I carry around and I defend, you've got to get off the couch. You've got to talk to people. It doesn't matter. I wear this on normal days. It's fun when everybody's on the same page, but I wear this on normal days. People look at me like I'm nuts, but I walk with the facts, and there's the power. So please, get out there. Let's take this republic back.
Ted Nugent would be proud of you being a radical patriot, man. Radical patriot.
Well, radicalism's all that's going to defeat these Luciferians we got running the show.
All right. Thank you, Gary.
Alex and Leanne, love you.
Thanks a lot, Gary.
And that was our political correspondent, Richard Reeves. Now, to talk more about this, politics is a very dirty business. It seems the further we go into the campaign, the further we go into the race, the more the teeth and the claws come out. And now they're trying to censor Donald Trump on CNN, as some people would call it, the Clinton News Network. They're saying, Roger Stone, CNN banned me on the orders of Hillary Clinton. And basically, he's saying that the Clintonistas have blacklisted him from CNN. And the rationale is they said they don't like the tweets that he put out. That's what the network is saying. But Mr. Stone is saying that Mrs. Clinton doesn't want him to reveal more about her shenanigans going on behind the scenes. Regardless of who's right, if anybody's right, They told, this is a quote from Mr. Stone. He says, "The Clintons have ordered CNN not to interview me because I am not PC." Those are the words of Mr. Stone. So as the things get more hot and heavy, these things are just going to intensify. And now it's to the point the late night guys are poking fun at Hillary, which they've been doing for a long time now. But she was asked about this recently on CNN. She was doing an interview, and basically she laughed off the point how she cannot answer simple, basic questions with just a yes or no. And here's a funny clip from Stephen Colbert.
How can you be this bad at it? Just say no. Just say no. You're running for president of the United States. Even Richard Nixon knew to say, "I am not a crook." He didn't say, "It has always been my intention, as far as I believe, I will do the best I can not to be a crook."
And from Hillary now to Trump, we see that Trump has more votes than Romney did at this point back in 2012. So it seems that Mr. Trump is definitely the front runner. We see Mitt Romney won Nevada's caucus in 2012 with about 50% of the vote. He did so by pulling in roughly about 16,000 votes, about the same number Marco Rubio got this year. And now we see Trump, by contrast, has doubled Romney's total, making about 34,000 votes. So it definitely sees that people are starting to feel the Trump. I'm a bit on the fence, a little bit skeptical, but each his own. And we'll see how this continues to develop as he goes up the polls. It seems like the guy is having a very difficult time stopping momentum, or people are trying to stop his momentum. We saw that he went to the press conference with Glenn Beck, came, and they say he stole his thunder. I guess Mr. Beck has been having some difficulty by going against Trump, but he's having some hard times convincing people to do the same. Now let's completely shift gears and talk about a different topic. The Apple hack. You guys have probably heard about this recently with the San Bernardino shooting and all the people who were involved in that. Basically, if you haven't heard, Apple is being pressured by police to unencrypt the phone that the San Bernardino shooters used. Now, I do respect Apple for their stance on this. Some people argue that in a case of terrorism, they should make an exception. But Apple also realizes that it's not just this one phone. Authorities, law enforcement, they have a big string of phones lined up for them to hack once they break the encryption on the San Bernardino shooter's phone. So it's been a big subject of controversy. And now we see that a reporter has actually gotten hacked in the air while he was reporting on the FBI Apple story. And he says, "I don't really need to worry about my online privacy. I used to think I've got nothing to hide, and who would want to know what I'm up to anyway?" And this is the thought that the reporter had until a recent flight. The reporter, they touched down on the ground and somebody said, "Hey, you're a reporter, right?" He's like, "Yeah, what are you talking about?" He's like, "Well, just meet me outside once we get out the plane." So he stops and he talks to the guy. And basically the guy tells him how he was able to hack into his computer and pretty much just, if he wanted to, do some malicious things. He was just doing it kind of, I guess, as a gag or whatever. But it pointed out to the reporter how serious online privacy is. And it kind of changed his views to the point, well, maybe we do need encryption and you can't just unlock it for anybody. Of course, if a police officer has a warrant and a good reason, maybe you can consider that, but you shouldn't just do it willy-nilly. You shouldn't be forced to hand over your phone data if you're pulled over for a busted taillight or something like that. So it's just one more person who changed their point of view over a topic that they would normally care nothing about. And this is something I thought was very interesting. A hero rat is saving Cambodians from landmines. And basically the rats were sent from Africa, where they were successfully clearing minefields in Mozambique and Angola. And they began to do the same task in northwestern Cambodia earlier this month and have already scored tangible results. So basically, I guess they're somewhat like dogs in their ability to sniff out things. They're going around pointing out to people where the landmines are, and the landmines are being distracted or destroyed. And it's a very good thing, because that's one of the things that's really kind of always bothered me about modern warfare, or recent warfare, I guess. They don't use them too much anymore. But you hear the stories like in Afghanistan and places that these guys, or Iraq, they would have landmines and they would attach toys to them, or, shiny objects that a kid would be attracted to, pick it up, and they would, kill the kid or seriously hurt the kid. This is a far cry from trying to damage your physical opponent, that military-aged male who's walking around with the AK-47. They were going after very young people with these things. And even if they weren't specifically targeting the children, they have these in big, vast open fields where the children can go and easily get hurt. So I think it's good that they have some type of recourse against this. I know that I believe the UN has been trying to outlaw landmines for some time, and of all the weapons that we have, from firearms to missiles and all this stuff, I think landmines would definitely be something to consider getting off the battlefield, because once that battlefield goes into a farmer's field, years after the war has concluded, the landmines still remain and nobody really has any accountability as to extract them. Now let's talk about accountability, your personal accountability, your personal self-defense. We see that a business owner is requiring all his staff to have a firearm present when they go to work. Now, personally, I think a firearm should be a choice. I choose to own a firearm, have a firearm in the home. I have a concealed carry. I can take it with me if I choose to go someplace. It's not something I want to force on somebody, but at the same time, I do respect the man for providing the training or the firearm to allow his staff to carry on his particular campus. Let's go ahead and take a look at this video.
You got everybody in my office has one of these in their drawer.
This is The Judge, a new requirement in the offices of Lance Toll and Associates, where his aviation insurance agents now open carry in the office.
It's a 5-shot, and it's a 410, just like a shotgun.
Tolan told us after hearing about recent home invasions and violent crime in the metro Atlanta area, he came up with the new office mandate.
And the interesting thing about his choice of firearm, it is a Taurus revolver. The Judge, to be more accurate, and what that is a firearm that fires a 410 shotgun shell. It's not a big 12 gauge, but it still has plenty of stopping power. So if you go in there looking for trouble, you're definitely going to find it. And I guess he's doing things like this because he sees stories like this, Chicago homicides, shooting doubles since last year. Because nobody wants to point out the elephant in the room that in gun-free zones like Chicago, or places where the Second Amendment is greatly restricted, they have all these high levels of gun crime because the criminals are going out there and just wreaking havoc on the unarmed populace. But now they have the numbers from the Chicago Tribune. 95 people already have been killed this year in the city, a twofold increase from 47 last year. Likewise, while this time last year, Chicago recorded 193 shootings, that number has more than doubled to over 420 so far. And we are still in the month of February. So this is what they champion for the gun-free zone. They say, let's be like these cities that have really strict gun laws. Well, you see Chicago, they have all this gun violence, and they'll say, oh, that's because the gun show loophole. We have gun shows all the damn time here in Texas, whether it's Austin or San Antonio or Dallas, or you go to Oklahoma or any place else, and we don't have gun numbers near what they have in Chicago as far as, gang members shooting each other. You go someplace like my hometown, like Tulsa, Oklahoma, people get shot all the time because the good guys have guns and they shoot the bad guys. That's why those numbers are high. And I think the closest city in Texas to Chicago is Houston, but I think they're pretty still low compared to Chicago numbers. So this gun show loophole that they keep championing is a whole big piece of bull. And before we go to break, we have a special treat for you. Austinite country music sensation Weldon Henson is joining us now in studio. Now, Weldon, you're getting a very special honor because I think about the history of the city of Austin. I don't know too many people who have their own day. So can you tell us about Weldon Henson Day?
Oh, well, that's right. Tomorrow, February 25th, the mayor, Steve Adler, is going to proclaim it, make a proclamation, Weldon Henson Day right here in Austin, Texas. And as you know, live music is prevalent here in Austin, and it's the live music capital of the world. And that's kind of a way that the city council and the mayor can give back to those they deem deserving, I guess, in the music industry here in Austin. And so we'll have a little Weldon Henson Day here in Austin. We'll have a little ceremony down at the city council, so on and so forth. I didn't really see it coming. It's kind of an honor, and I'm looking forward to it.
And how did it come about? Did they, I don't know the process. Can you just tell me how this came to be?
A few times a year, they'll do something like this to certain musicians, a handful a year here in Austin, just to help them with some PR and get their name out there. And, like I said, to artists that they think are deserving and obviously have had an impact here on the music scene, which I guess I have. I've been playing here a long time, and I played a lot of gigs around town. And I happened to meet the mayor a couple times, and I played at some of his events. He's a big fan of my music, and he wanted to just give back and say thanks, and this is a way he can do it.
All right, now, Weldon, you're going to play us out here to break, but first, can you tell us, if somebody is in the city of Austin and they want to see the Weldon Henson Band, where can they go to see you? Well,
the first place is every Tuesday night at the Broken Spoke down there on South Lamar. We call it Two-Steppin' Tuesdays, and that's every Tuesday night. If you're in the local area this weekend, this Saturday night, we'll be down in Dripping Springs, playing at a place called Mercer Street Dance Hall. So plenty of opportunities to find us around here. You can go to WeldonHenson.com and learn more.
All right, Weldon Henson, take it away.
When it was rough that year, but it made us tough, as we held strong and we were thankful for what we got. There were times aplenty, so I was glad that we saved up on some good old-fashioned values that Granddaddy taught. Yes, I remember. He said, your time's coming. Who says that you can't dance? Surround yourself by those you trust, your family and friends. And I can promise you, if you work hard, you're gonna see your time's coming. And just believe. It's been about 15 years since I heard those words. So one night, Dad came over, said, you look worried, son. Told him about the struggles, how things hadn't quite worked out. He just smiled and grabbed me by the shoulder, said, I've been there myself. Hey, your time's coming. Who says you can't dance? Surround yourself by those you trust, your family and friends. And I can promise you, if you work hard, you're gonna see your time's coming. Just believe. As I sit here, well, you know, it makes me think, as I look down at the little one crawling by my feet. Hey, your time's coming. Who says that you can't dance? Surround yourself by those you trust, your family and friends. And I can promise you, if you work hard, you're gonna see your time's coming. And just believe. Hey, your time's coming. And just believe. And I can still hear my granddaddy tell my daddy, as he tells me, your time's coming. Just believe.
We believe in win-win, folks, treating people like we want to be treated. That's why we develop nutraceuticals with Dr. Group and other top researchers, chemists, scientists, you name it. He's one of our advisors, to come up with products like Anthroplex that is an original product that he made just for us. And this is a base system to make super male or super female vitality work even better. It is natural. It just helps get your body pumping and going in the way you need to be going. And Dr. Group is here till we go to break to tell us about the latest product at InfoWarsLife.com, Anthroplex, that out of the gates, and we do this all the time with a new product, we discount it out of the gates to get you to try it, knowing that you're going to love it. It'll sell out. So InfoWarsLife.com, Anthroplex, 15% off and free shipping for the next 2 days only when you get it with super male or female vitality. Let's go to Dr. Group. Why do you call this the foundation to start the fire and then the super male takes you to the next level?
Well, we just look at the base problem that's going on right now in all over the world, which is the endocrine disrupting chemicals, the amount of estrogen that men have, the femininity of men, and what's going on even in children right now with low testosterone levels, low sperm count levels, and the problems that in the attack that we're seeing on the endocrine systems of both male and female. So I'm always looking for ways to boost that and to make it more effective and naturally get the body to start producing these hormones and balancing themselves. So what we decided to do was, how can we add a few other components in there that would actually boost the effectiveness of the super male vitality and at the same time address different issues that the male might have, so it would be a full approach. And one of those was zinc. And zinc is actually necessary for the production of testosterone. There's more and more studies coming out that zinc is essential for hormone balancing.
What is in the goat weed? You've got one of the purest, strongest organic forms of it. What's so magic about the goat weed?
Well, the horny goat weed was given that name because years ago in India, they noticed that the goat, a certain time of the year, this weed would grow and the goats would eat it and they would just go crazy with all the female goats. So that's how it was developed. It's called epimedium. And what that's been proven to do over thousands of years is increase sexual pleasure, help balance the male hormones. It can actually be used for women as well. But it really kind of resets and brings the hormone balance, improves sperm motility, and increases testosterone levels.
So it counters the stuff they've been throwing at us. Results will vary overall. All I know is dynamite. I mean, absolutely dynamite with the stamina, with the weightlifting, with the swimming. Folks, the new product is available. Anthroplex, available at InfoWarsLife.com. Dr. Group, thank you for developing this amazing product.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Alex Jones here with a special news alert for the InfoWars Nightly News. Now, as you know tonight, we've already been covering the continued march towards disarmament of the people of the United States. It's already happened in most parts of the world. That's why I have this globe here. And I'm going to go over this here in a moment. But the reason I felt like I needed to tape this special presentation tonight is because even I have been conditioned to accept this tyranny incrementally. America would have never admitted 10 years ago it was being spied on by the NSA. Now everybody knows you're being spied on illegally. But we accept it because we were slowly eased into it. We have to get upset. We have to get motivated. We have to be defiant of tyranny and say, we're not turning in our firearms from our cold, dead hands.
From my cold, dead hands.
To quote the late, great Charlton Heston, who was a guest on this program, in his fight for the Second Amendment. We have to understand when that right falls, everything else falls. They're telling you your kids don't belong to you. They're telling you they're going to come with forced inoculations for you and your family. They're telling you that they're going to open the borders up outside of law, that Obama's going to appoint the new Supreme Court justice outside of congressional confirmation. Unprecedented things are happening. This is the season of the tyrant's attempt to keep power. Because the truth is humanity's waking up, so they're moving in to take the guns. Now, I'm going to get to this news here in a moment, but the United Nations in 2000, in July 7th, put out their first draft of the Small Arm Disarmament Global Treaty. And I've covered it many times. And in the draft summation, they said, because civilian ownership of firearms threatens the legitimate power monopoly of the state. How is a power monopoly of the state a good thing? There's a name for that. Oligarchy, dictatorship, tyranny,
despotism, North Korea, Nazi Germany. And you look at images of North Korea and that hell, and you notice that only the government has the guns. It boils down to that. It's like not even trusting airline pilots to have a gun in the cockpit, which they had before 9/11. That was taken away from them 6 months before. You trust them to fly this giant missile, this giant weapon, but you don't trust them to have a gun. We only trust special government agents, specially trained against the Constitution and Bill of Rights to have guns. That's where this is moving. Now, behind me is a Daily Caller article. The gun grabbers are coming. Lexington, Massachusetts now faces semi-automatic gun confiscation. And we're going to roll some footage of a few years ago at a reenactment at Lexington, where we shot footage right on the very green where it happened, where the British redcoats said, "Turn in your guns, you scum, or we're going to kill you." And then they aimed and fired first, and that was the shot heard around the world. In the very city, in the very colony, now a state, where in 1775 they came to confiscate the guns, the people refused. The town of Lexington, the people themselves are represented by 200 town meeting members. People don't vote directly there. It still goes back to the colonial times. And they claim to represent their constituents, and they say they have the votes, like Highland Park, Illinois, to ban all semi-automatic firearms, and they're looking to do it, and then they will come and they will confiscate them. That's in Article 34 at their annual town meeting beginning March 21st, about a month out. And they think they have the votes to do it. Now, let's move to something bigger than Lexington, or an area in Illinois, like we just mentioned. This is from Bloomberg a few years ago, and this is the model they tested in California, now being launched by Obama through executive order nationwide. California seizes guns as owners lose right to keep arms. And they're claiming it's if your neighbor says they thought you were scary, or a family member says he never threatened me or she never threatened me, but I'd like their guns taken. Or you were PTSD in the Army, no criminal record. They make the determination outside of law to come take your firearms. This is what they do. And it's similar to what they've done in areas like New York City, DC, and Chicago. Chicago, by the way, has the highest crime rate in the world and only goes up. In fact, it's double this year what it was last year. We can show you those articles. And so this stealth program has now launched nationwide this year, 2016, with Health and Human Services, no law. They just said, here's our policy. You are, as doctors, are going to question people's children about firearms. You're going to question adults about it. And if someone has a heart problem, they shouldn't be able to own a gun. They give them a long list. If people have kids, they shouldn't be able to have a gun. And you are to report this to DHS. And then if a doctor says, all these Politico doctors, all these Commissar doctors, all these doctors trained in the socialist medical schools now, feel like for any reason you shouldn't have a gun. No judge, no jury, no nothing. Your firearms are taken. The old Soviet Union used the medical system to oppress the people. So did Nazi Germany. So what I'm here to announce to you is, out of 170 plus nations around the world, there's only about 11 that have some type of private gun ownership. And it's places like Switzerland in Europe that has the lowest crime rate in the world. And there are limited rights in a few other countries. Now, of course, if you look at the Islamic invaders that have come into Europe, they go out in the street corners in major cities in Germany and other countries and shoot guns in the air, which are totally illegal. They have AK-47s to attack people on trains and to attack theaters. They're brought in, that's okay. And if you criticize them, Merkel has you arrested. They're not worried about real threats, but here in the United States and Canada, we're some of the few Western countries that still have the right to keep and bear arms. And of course, in other countries, people are disarmed because they never got out from under colonialism. It was the Magna Carta in England, starting in 1215, where the people fought back and got a basic beginning of a system of due process that became the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights. And they're not just shredding the Second Amendment. They're taking the First, they're coming after the Fifth, the Ninth, the 10th, they're coming after the Fourth with all the spying, because these protections that only pointed out God-given rights we already had stand in the way of tyranny. And now we have a TPP, Trans-Pacific Partnership, between the Americas and the Pacific nations that is a union and was secretly ratified, but they admit is world government. And then we have a European Union and a transatlantic agreement already signed that is merging our laws and systems with Europe. The whole world is now merging into a three-part system, a trilateral system, and we have to get in line now with these treaties, like the Small Arms Treaty, and take the American people's guns. Gun confiscation has already begun. It's already happened in many cities. They want to sit there and deny it's happening. We're winning the fight for the hearts and minds when it comes to pro-life and the Second Amendment. But when it comes to on the ground, the tyrants are just seizing control and moving forward with tyranny. You are the Paul Reveres of your age. You are the Paul Reveres in your town and your city. You are the Paul Reveres in other nations around the world. It is up to you to realize the technocracy that's been established, that global corporations have made themselves above the law. They play the nation states off against each other. They're collapsing the nation states, and out of the ashes of that collapse, they're calling for a new corporate planetary government endorsed by the Pope, borderless, with multinationals above the law, tax exempt, with diplomatic immunity. That's the New World Order. I'm going to throw it back to InfoWars Nightly News and your host this evening. And then we are going to, of course, tomorrow night be covering the Republican debate ahead of Super Tuesday. We're also going to have some big Donald Trump news as well coming up at InfoWars.com. Now back to InfoWars Nightly News.
The globalists have controlled the mainstream media for a long time, but now they're expanding and making the weaponization even more vicious and deceptive. All the major networks are state-run.
We are partnering this year with the NFL.
The NFL has become a political weapon against the Second Amendment and pushes Obamacare. MSNBC tells us that our children belong to the state.
We have to break through our kind of private idea that kids belong to their parents or kids belong to their families and recognize that kids belong to whole communities.
It is more important than ever to realize that we are not the alternative media. We are the true media. The establishment dinosaur press is dying.
We are in an information war, and we are losing that war.
Join us at InfoWarsNews.com and PrisonPlanet.tv. Members can share their memberships with up to 11 people. By subscribing, you will literally be buying war bonds in the info war.
This is Bernie Sanders, and I'm quite upset. If you guys saw the Iowa caucus the other night, you would know that I worked extremely hard for these votes. And the people that were working in the Iowa caucus took what I worked hard for and gave it to someone else. A lying, cheating, horrible human being by the name of Hillary Clinton. And I don't understand how anybody could like something like this. That you work hard for something your whole life and you earn something, and then you're expected to give it to someone else who's not as deserving and is too lazy or more of a piece of crap than you are. What kind of person would even think about something like that?
Hey, that'd be you, Bernie Sanders. Guess you just felt the burn. You can find more reports like this at InfoWars.com. I'm Joe Biggs.
The knowledge of the ancients, tried and true, trusted herbs and extracts fused with the latest nutraceutical science. Introducing the all-new Ancient Defense Herbal Immunity Blend, crafted with over 14 key ancient herbs and extracts to supercharge and prepare your body for what experts admit is the most dangerous season of the year. We have rejected hundreds of other formulations in our quest to bring you what is simply the most powerful and comprehensive proprietary formula that we have ever created in the realm of herbal immunity. For the last 2 years, our team has been working with top doctors, nutritionists, and chemists to develop the ultimate nutraceutical formulation. Experience the benefits of combining over 14 ancient herbs and extracts with exciting new advances in nutraceutical science. Now is the time to secure Ancient Defense for you and your family. family. Visit ancientdefense.com or call 888-253-3139. That's ancientdefense.com.
General, what do you think about the FBI saying that there was a terror alert on Monday about a potential Fort Hood situation?
The police are shoving people, shoving Alex, shoving the crowd.
Here we go, folks. I'm being assaulted.
Whether it's the radio show, the news websites, documentary films, or the nightly news, InfoWars is the tip of the spear.
Is this another false flag stage attack to take our civil liberties and put more homeland security while sticking their hands down on the pants on the streets?
It's up to us to set brush fires in the minds of men and women everywhere, and that's what PrisonPlanet.tv is designed to do.
You watch, the Assad regime is going to be blamed or accused of using chemical weapons against the so-called rebels.
What we see now is a war against reality. It's a war against the truth.
It's more vital than ever that supporters of freedom become members of PrisonPlanet.tv and share their membership with up to 11 friends and family. Visit InfoWarsNews.com today. Become a member, share your membership, and help take the InfoWar to the next level. InfoWars Life and InfoWarsLife.com is extremely excited to announce our latest release, Winter Sun, a revolutionary type of vitamin D3. Winter Sun is a premium quality vitamin D3 nutritional supplement. It is produced by extracting oil from healthy, nutrient-dense plants known as lichens. Every batch is analyzed for purity and D3 content. It's completely free of toxins and allergens. Visit InfoWars.com today or call 888-253-3139.
Bubbling on the back burner of global public consciousness sits nothing less than an orchestrated full-scale invasion of cultures. AFP reports, as of Tuesday morning, 7 had arrived in Italy since the beginning of the year. Last year, the 100,000 mark was only topped during summer, IOM spokesman Itai Veriri told reporters. An estimated 35,000 migrants and refugees have reached the Greek islands so far in February alone, adding that nearly half of them were Syrians and a quarter were Afghans. All attempt to move on, he said, adding that we understand that an estimated 26,000 have already passed the Greek border in February alone. Nearly 20,000 Afghans have arrived in Greece by sea so far this year, along with nearly 31,000 Syrians and more than 12,000 Iraqis. As Europe plummets into chaos, Norway threatens to abandon the Geneva Convention, and for good reason. Kurt Nimmo writes, the failure of the borderless Schengen area scheme implemented by the European Union has prompted Norwegian Prime Minister Erna Solberg to warn her country will abandon the Geneva Convention and close the border if Sweden collapses. Solberg added, the rejection of the EU Schengen area will be imposed in the event that it all breaks down, that the flow of refugees just comes, and they all end up in Norway. Because we're at the top of Europe, Norway is the end point. In October, Swedish Foreign Minister Margot Wallström said the tidal wave of immigrants entering the country has destabilized the government and placed an immense burden on its socialist system. In response, the government has looked abroad to borrow money and is now considering hiking taxes on citizens to pay for the influx. Wallström said, I think most people feel that we cannot maintain a system where perhaps 190,000 people will arrive every year. In the long run, our system will collapse. But those voices have been muted as the clampdown on the public consensus in Europe is escalating. RT reports German police have reportedly launched an investigation into the cops who leaked internal reports of mass harassment and assaults on New Year's Eve in Cologne to the media. The German press only learned about the outrageous sex attacks 4 days after the incidents. Cologne police recently launched an investigation to find those who had spread the secret information without permission. The authorities are determined to find out how internal police reports became public. Meanwhile, back in the United States, The Daily Caller reports the Obama administration will no longer ban immigrants with 3 sexually transmitted diseases and bacterial infections from entering the country, according to the Center for Immigration Studies. The Department of Health and Human Services announced the rule January 26th, and it goes into effect on March 28th. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention decided to remove cancroid, granuloma inguinal, and lymphogranuloma venereum from the list of inadmissible diseases for an immigrant seeking to enter the country. The Obama administration estimates that the change would not cost more than $100 million. In President Barack Obama's first year in office, the Department of Health and Human Services decided that HIV was no longer a communicable disease of public health significance. Obama's endangerment of the American people knows no bounds. Keeping tabs on the unyielding invasion of immigrants with the sole purpose of eliminating European culture and reducing the United States to a third world country has gradually become a distant talking point. John Bound for Infowars.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, we knew that they would have a new attack ready for Trump when he dominated, almost getting double the votes of the second place winner, Marco Rubio, in Nevada. And ahead of Super Tuesday next week, Trump is set to have a tsunami win. He's suddenly surging to a dead tie in major polls with Senator Ted Cruz in his home state, Texas. He is clearly going to probably beat Rubio coming up in Florida. The system is in panic as Drudge Report comes out with the headline that he is the nominee of the people, Donald J. Trump. And so we talked to Trump insider Roger Stone a few days ago. He's going to be in studio Friday, and he said the new attack will be that Donald Trump is mafia, and Donald Trump is corrupt, and Donald Trump's finances. We've seen the IRS persecute Christians and gun owners and veterans. We know they've done it openly. MSNBC said it's good. Persecute people. They deserve it. They're the racist Tea Party. And so you can't work in places like New York City and not run into some of that stuff with businesses. They're digging into that. A decade ago, somebody that he did a little bit of construction with got indicted. This is the type of garbage they're going to use. And the reason I'm shooting this special report is we've got the articles, we've got the clip where Mitt Romney was on Neil Cavuto at about, 3 o'clock Central on this Wednesday, and was going, I don't know what the dirt is, and I don't know what the financials are, and I'm not saying I've seen it or it even exists. But I got to tell you, there's going to be something big in the finances of Trump. And boy, we just don't want to go with him and have Hillary get in. Well, they can make stuff up about Ted Cruz or Marco Rubio or anybody else, but they won't if those people play ball. Trump says he wants to audit the private Federal Reserve. He doesn't want multinational corporations that are based here to be tax exempt. That's not fair. He said he wants to control our borders and have sovereignty. He's against political correctness. He wants the 28 pages on Saudi Arabia and 9/11 to be released and the Bushes. Nobody else is doing that. This is so positive. It's so populist. He's riding that wave. They've tried to cheat him at every level, but it's failed because the people have seen through it. And I think the establishment is going to have even bigger problems if they continue to try to go against the will of the people and the huge awakening that's happening. Now, Trump may not be perfect, and he might turn into a man on a white horse, but we know the establishment we have now has been running things into the ground and wants to make us poor so they can micromanage us because they've already stolen the wealth. These people are not capitalist. These people are fascist, using socialism to domesticate the population. Now, let's go to this clip and understand they're scared of Donald Trump, and this is the next big push.
The fact that he is so aggressive in avoiding any discussion of his taxes, and is not willing to put them out so far, suggests that there's something in there he doesn't want us to see. Frankly, I think we have good reason to believe that there's a bombshell in Donald Trump's taxes.
Listening to Governor Romney and the issue that he just brought up.
Yeah, what do you think of that?
I think that Donald Trump's going to have some explaining to do. I think that every question is going to go back to that, and you've got Hillary Clinton on one side who's...
Notice how it's key scripted points that they're both saying in unison on Cavuto's show, with Cavuto sitting there nodding his head. This is the establishment scripting everything, and Rupert Murdoch is on record as a Hillary supporter. This is Hillary through Fox News trying to take out Donald Trump.
Well, if you can't stand the heat, you ought not get in the kitchen. It's kind of the old saying about running for the presidency of the United States. They're going to ask you about everything. And if you don't have a legitimate answer, I don't know or I'm not going to tell you is not appropriate.
So we've got Mitt Romney. We've got Rick Perry, the guy that lied and said Gardasil shots with the law in Texas. We've got all these establishment Republicans coming out and saying, we don't know what's in there, but it's going to be bad. It's going to be big. I can barely even know what's going on in my own daily life with my checkbook in my life because I'm running so much stuff. And my life's probably 1/20th as complex running a major media operation as Donald Trump's. So now we already know what the attack is from Stone. Again, they're going to go in to maybe one, maybe two people that he's worked with in huge construction deals out of hundreds he's done that ended up to be bad people and claim that he's tied in with that. We know Hillary and Obama financed ISIS to kill tens of thousands of Christians in Libya and Syria and give them Stinger missiles. So I tell you what, after you've indicted Hillary and all these other people for stuff they've done, and Rick Perry for lying and saying Gardasil's the law, a dangerous vaccine, then I'll believe you if you want to do an investigation of Trump. Until then, you're a pack of criminals, and I'm sick of your BS.
They print our money and then loan it to us at interest. The IRS is their collection agency.
So long as that is in place and there is no evidence that the administration or the Congress or anybody else is requesting that we do things other than what we think is the appropriate thing, then what the relationships are don't frankly matter.
Jeff Duncan says he saw IRS special agents using semi-automatic rifles at a gun range. Now he wants answers to why the agency needs that type of firepower.
Is this global governance at last? Is it one world, the central bankers in charge?
Know your history, and you will know your enemy. Infowars.com.
I'm not gonna sit here and take it anymore.
Brain Force is here. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been on this the last few months. You probably noticed I've been more crazed, more focused, less brain fog, more energy, more special reports, and it's because of Brain Force.
One of the worst things with most energy products is it's not sustainable, right? You're gonna crash and gonna feel really bad afterwards. This has a bunch of different antioxidants and compounds and polyphenols.
Everybody's on these drugs to knock their brain out because the brain's so fried.
We kept changing this formula over and over and over again until it became sort of a grand puzzle. For example, the L-theanine inside of it, that is activated by the different compounds in the yerba mate that we put inside of it as well. This just increases the compounds you already have.
This is what you're actually designed to run on.
Exactly.
It's kind of like a car will run on one form of junkie gas, but it runs really good on what it's designed for. You will find Brain Force, Survival Shield X2, and other game-changing products at InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139. Introducing Secret 12, the new InfoWars Life vitamin B12 formulation. Most forms of vitamin B12 are highly processed and synthetic and could not be properly absorbed by the body. That's why for real results, so many are having to turn to painful B12 injections, which are known to have higher absorption rates. Now, InfoWarsLife.com is excited to announce that we can bring you our most bioactive, powerful form of B12 that has been developed with our exclusive perfected process. Secret 12 is a binary of nutramedical grade, bioavailable coenzyme forms of B12, methylcobalamin, the same kind used in B12 injections, and adenosylcobalamin. Secret 12 is simply taken by mouth, right on the tongue, and then swallowed. No needles, no injections. Don't take my word for it. Try it for yourself. Discover the secret. Secret 12. Secure your revolutionary Secret 12 formula right now at InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139.
Leanne McAdoo for Infowars.com. Now, earlier this week, we talked to you about the Saudis calling to arm the Syrian jihadists with anti-aircraft missiles so they could shoot down Russian planes. Right, this is totally normal, nothing to worry about there. So this is Saudi Foreign Minister Adel Al-Jubeir, and he says, "We believe that introducing surface-to-air missiles in Syria is going to change the balance of power on the ground." He said it has to be studied very carefully because you don't want such weapons to fall into the wrong hands, which, of course, this is something that's been happening again and again. We've seen how the military has accidentally dropped weapons that have, of course, fallen into the hands of ISIS. But, I guess the Saudi foreign minister didn't realize all he had to do was go to Facebook because there is an eBay for jihadis being run on Facebook. Now, this is being reported by the Mirror out of the UK. They say at the time of posting this article, that Facebook page was still up. So this is basically a page that Syrian rebel fighters are using to buy and sell heavy weapons, guns, and ammunition, including CIA-supplied rocket launchers. So further investigation shows that some of the users are active on this page. They are displaying their support for Al-Qaeda and other terrorist groups. And this is, of course, prompting concerns that these weapons could fall into the wrong hands. I'm sorry, but if you're buying rocket launchers and surface-to-air missiles on Facebook, they're probably already in the wrong hands. Just take a look at some of these weapons. So there's an advert for missile launchers. The seller claims it comes from the U.S. Pentagon. So was this something that the U.S. Pentagon had controversially supplied to some of these rebel groups in Syria and Iraq since the civil war there erupted in 2011? Are these some missile launchers that fell into the wrong hands after those accidental airdrops that happened not once but 2 or 3 times? And then we also see another seller writing, cannon shells are for sale. For more information, contact me here. There's a thermal camera up for grabs. So, of course, this is used for hunting at night, and it's made by a U.S. company in Oregon. There's another type of missile launcher for sale. It's capable of bringing down both civilian and military jets. It's being sold for $67,000 on this Facebook page. So that's very surprising. I mean, this is happening right now. And of course, you know, Twitter and Facebook, they're too busy banning controversial conservatives on Twitter to take out the ISIS trolls and groups like this that are running weapons on their Facebook accounts. So this is, of course, coming at the time when Washington is really raising the pressure on Silicon Valley to join the fight against terrorism. They have actually announced the creation of a task force to help prevent extremist groups from using social media to radicalize and mobilize recruits. Tech firms have also been really adamant about the need to protect consumer data. They're building in these sophisticated encryption tools to make their devices more popular and more appealing to the consumer, which is why we're seeing this Apple versus FBI going on right now. And of course, I mean, it's all just so convenient how this rolls out as the government is trying to really command the tech industry to join them and help the surveillance apparatus. ISIS threatens Mark Zuckerberg and Jack Dorsey. So the terror group has vowed retaliation for efforts to suspend ISIS-affiliated social media accounts. So it's a 25-minute propaganda video showing pictures of Zuckerberg and Dorsey covered with bullet holes. And the video is titled Flames of the Supporters, and it ends with a direct threat to these two CEOs. It says, "You announce daily that you suspend many of our accounts, and to you we say, is that all you can do? You are not in our league." So it almost sounds like you have the CIA-backed CIA-controlled ISIS going in there and saying, oh, is that all you can do? Take down our accounts? How else can you stop our terrorist activities? What else can you do besides suspend our accounts like they've been doing last summer? Apparently, these accounts, these suspensions have devastated the reach of specific ISIS-affiliated users. So now they're just challenging Twitter and Facebook, do more. You know, we challenge you to take us down. So it's kind of laughable at this point where you can see how there is some prodding there that's going to only help advance the surveillance state and only push tech companies to join in the surveillance panopticon. But here's a story to sort of explain why this Apple versus FBI is so important to everyone, especially now. This is a reporter for USA Today, Stephen Petro, and he says, I got hacked midair while writing an Apple FBI story. So when he was writing the story, he wasn't really concerned about Apple versus FBI. Like most people, he's, I've got nothing to hide. Even though he's a reporter, he's not an investigative reporter. He wasn't a political radical, not of much interest to anyone. And he says that he was just putting on his jacket, deplaning, and someone behind him said, hey, are you a reporter? And he was like, yeah, I got to go. And the guy was like, wait for me at the gate. So very sort of X-Files is there. And he said, how do you know I was a reporter? And so the guy sort of goes on and explains to him pretty much verbatim an email that he had sent. And then he drops this bombshell. I hacked your email on the plane and read everything that you sent and received. I did it to most people on the flight. So here this guy is explaining how he was able to exploit the back door on this open Wi-Fi that people use in planes. And the specific email that he kind of read back to the guy was based on his story. This is what the reporter was saying. The danger is that the court's demands will pave the way to the FBI forcing Apple and others to reduce the security levels of their smartphones and computers, as well as the security of cars, medical devices, homes, and everything else that will soon be computerized. The FBI may be targeting the iPhone of the San Bernardino shooter, but its actions will imperil all of us. And that it was that sentence that really caused this hacker to come forward and say, hey, I hacked your email on the plane, and this is why this is so important to not build backdoors into technology that's going to make it vulnerable for everybody out there, especially considering the fact that very soon the Internet of Things will be ubiquitous. So let's not forget, earlier this month, James Clapper came out, didn't name any specific agencies, but said, we might use the Internet of Things to spy on you. And they're really pushing everything in your home to be connected to the Internet of Things, even your coffee maker, your car keys, your everything. So Clapper says, in the future, intelligence services might use the Internet of Things for identification, surveillance, monitoring, location tracking, targeting for recruitment, or to gain access to networks or user credentials. So this is why the government needs those backdoors. It doesn't need technology companies promising that they're not going to build any backdoors to the government. They have already spelled it out. They want to be able to exploit these backdoors. They might use it to spy on you and to do all sorts of other things like targeting for recruitment, whatever that means. So this is why this story is very important, and why Twitter and Facebook, we can see it now that they're always calling for the rest of us to give up our guns. Meanwhile, I guarantee that they have just upped their security detail in the face of these threats.
Well, that's it for our show tonight. We do hope that you come down here to Austin, Texas, and have a chance to experience Weldon Henson Day. Weldon Henson, will you take us out?
Another bar, here we are, wasting time. You know, it didn't seem like very long ago we were young. But here we sit, it's a way of life, shooting bull, hanging out all night, and wondering how, without a care in the world except for right here and now. Yeah, it's honky-tonk one more time, cold beer and neon lights. Nothing new feels the same. Watch your life just pass away. A honky-tonk, another night. A honky-tonk, it feels right. Real nice, seems fine. Well, it's getting late and it's time to go. Tomorrow morning I'll be feeling low and wondering why. We'll do it all again right here tomorrow night. Yeah, then it's honky-tonk just one more time. Cold beer and neon lights. Nothing new, honey, feels the same. Watch your life just pass away.
Knockout is back. If you want a product that has 10 known ingredients that naturally get your body to relax, your brain to relax, so you get deep, restful sleep, Knockout's it. InfoWarsLife.com. L-theanine, hops flower extract, lemon balm extract, valerian root extract, chamomile flower extract, L-tryptophan extract, melatonin, and more. All organic, all the natural sources. It's the same price as leading brands of melatonin that are 3 milligrams a piece. It has 3 milligrams, the standard recommended dose for an adult, and it just synergistically puts everything in there. InfoWarsLife.com. That's InfoWarsLife.com, or call 888-253-3139.
You are watching the InfoWars Nightly News, which airs 7 p.m. Central at InfoWarsNews.com. And your support is helping us defend liberty worldwide.